friends, my name is Manvinder and welcome back to my channel Manvinder for you. Today we are going to cover a topic called optional chaining. What do you mean by optional chaining and what are the different ways we can use optional chaining? So without wasting our time, let's dive into it.
So let's understand the optional chaining with various examples. So in my first example, you can see I have an object called adventure and have a various key like name, cat, and one method is defined which written in true. So inside this one, when we trying to run the first program, so you can see it is undefined. The reason is that the doc key is not exist in this particular object, so which we are trying to access it. So if we don't use optional chaining, it will give you error. So let's try it. So you can see here it will give you that cannot read the property name is undefined, because to avoid unavoidable error in the programming we use optional chaining. So over here you can see that doc property is not exist inside this particular object. So because of that it's giving error. So optional chaining help you to reduce unwanted errors in your program and it will give you undefined or null. So let's go with the second example. So let's try to access the function. So in my second example, you can see I'm trying to access method with optional chaining. So inside this one, I defined a method which written in true, and we can use optional chaining with method also. So let's try this one. So when we run this program, you can see it's written in true because the method exists in this particular object. So when the method doesn't exist in this particular object, what will happen? Let's try it. So when you run it, it will give you unwanted, undefined. It will give you undefined. So over here you can see it is written in undefined value. So optional chaining can be used with the object, with variable, and with the various methods. So it is very convenient to use optional chaining to avoid unwanted error in our programming. Let's understand other ways we can use optional chaining. So the other way is short circuiting. Over here you can see I had defined three variables, potential null object, x and prop. In props, I'm just checking the value. If this value undefined or null, so don't increase the value. If it is have some value, just increase the value. So optional chaining, you can see my x variable is undefined. So and my potential null object is null. So when we run this program, what will happen? So you can see the value is undefined because the value of potential null object is null. If we increase this value to 1 and assign the value to the x, you can see the value of x will be 2. So you can see here. So now our value of x is increased because the potential null object exists. It have a value. It is not null or undefined. So short circuiting is a way in which you can see that if you want to increase the value or not. So over here you can see the value has increased to 2. Now we can see the third way we can use optional chaining, that is called staking the optional chaining operator. So over here we can put multiple optional chaining in a single line. So over here you can see with various conditions. So over here you can see I have defined an object called customer, and similarly I have a various key like name, details, age and location. And I'm trying to access those values with optional chaining. So over here you can see I have defined a customer which already exists, and there's a key called details which also exists, and I'm trying to access address. The property of address doesn't exist in this particular object, and I'm trying to access that city. So when we're trying to run this one, so let's print this one. What will happen? You can see the value is undefined. The reason is that the address property is not exist inside this particular object. Because of that, it is giving you undefined. If you're trying to access that value, for example, if you want to access value like age, and assign that value to the customer city. Like for example, I just access the age value. So let's see, just remove this city and try to access. So the city value will be 82 now. So let's run it. So you can see here, now it's giving you 82. It is not giving you undefined or null because the value is already exists in this particular object. Optional chaining can be applied in inherent way also. So let's understand the optional chaining with nullish correlation operator. Over here you can see I defined a variable called customer and trying to access those value with nullish correlation operator. So to understand the nullish correlation operator, you can refer to my other video. So for here we're going to talk about optional chaining. So over here you can see I had defined a customer and I'm trying to access the key which is called city. So in this object I don't have city object. So over here you can see if the value exists, it will go to this particular true condition, otherwise it will go to the unknown city. So when you are trying to run it, let's see what will happen. So you can see the unknown city printed at the console. The reason is that the city key is not exist in this particular customer object. So if you put it city like something like and try to run it, let's see what will happen if the value exists. It will give you can see it's already printed the value at the console. So that means the value in the left hand side is exists. So it will assign that value to the particular variable. So we have a value in customer city that is Raj, which is already printed at the bottom. You can see here. If the value doesn't exist, it will give you unknown city, which we had seen before over here. So these are the various ways we can apply optional chaining.
In the end, I will give you a tip that don't use option chaining when you want to see what is the exact error it is. In the first example, we have seen when we have removed the optional chaining from the first part, it will give you the exact error that the name is undefined. To try to use optional chaining when you want to return undefined or null. But when you want to see what is the exact error, don't use optional chaining. I hope you guys like the video. If you like the video, please give a thumb up and subscribe my channel.